ran to the room when they started, when they were coding him, and I just could not believe it. So he did take his last breath in front of me, but it was not, he was not, he didn't have COVID, but he was impacted by COVID. And his death, believe it or not, though I've seen many deaths because I'm a former hospice nurse prior to COVID, his death just made me kind of realize, like, oh my God, life is so fragile. So, like, in one moment, we could be here and the next we can't be.
Welcome back to the Leaving a Rich Legacy podcast. I am your host, Jessica Rich, and this podcast is more than just a series of conversations. It's a love letter to my younger self and to anyone seeking courage and empowerment within the layers of our shared experiences in the Black and Brown community. Now, our new series is I Choose Me. We are diving deep into the journeys of our incredible guests who have all bravely made a decision to choose themselves and put themselves first. So, together, we'll unpack the conversations that are often left unheard in the Black community, and we will celebrate these individuals, the power of self love, resilience, and authenticity. So, I ask that you join me as we amplify these vital stories so each of us can leave a richer legacy for the generations to come. Now, today, our special guest is someone who I have known for over 20 years. And she is not only my best friend, but she is my sister. I am so excited to introduce Dr. Nadia Marcellus. Nadia, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Hey, thank you for having me. The whole doctor thing, I'm still trying to get used to it.
You know what? I
Thank you
need
for
you to
having me.
embrace it.
I know. I'm trying to. I will get there. I will get there.
So, Nadia, I am so excited to have you here on my podcast. It has been a long time coming, but this topic and conversation will help the audience understand why it's been a long time coming with you being a guest on my podcast. But you know what? This season is perfect. So, I am super excited for you to share a little bit about yourself. So, start off and tell the people, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Nadia?
Oh my God. Okay. So Nadia is the little girl who didn't stop dreaming. So first generation Haitian American who does come from humble beginnings, where we grew up at. I think the last time I spoke with someone, they were saying in that neighborhood, it's probably 1 out of 20 that will graduate high school. And that alone is a big feat in itself. So I come from that area, and I'm a mom, I'm a wife. First and foremost, I'm a Christian, and I am a woman too. So I take that very serious, that's what I have to put up there. After a woman of God, I'm a woman, mom, sister, friend, godmom, aunt. That all describes Nadia. And also someone who's very compassionate. You have to understand my sense of humor. Sometimes humor just helps me get through a lot. So that's who Nadia is in a nutshell.
Hey, so Nadia, tell us a little bit about your journey of choosing yourself. You share a little about who you are, which is one of my two favorite questions of the podcast, because I love to hear how people describe like their identity and who they are. But tell us about your journey of choosing yourself. What did that look like for you?
So my journey of choosing myself basically looked like, um, in a nutshell, to set up boundaries, right? And this was because what it was for me is that I really didn't know how to say no. I didn't want to say no because I didn't want to, as far as feel like I'm letting someone down, either it be family, a friend, a coworker. But what was going on with all of that is that after I would say all of these yeses, I'd end up feeling burnt out. So I could just give you like a small example of the interaction with my mom, how it used to be. So this started back in 2018. By this time, so the boys, of course, I know you know, but for your listeners, my sons, they're 11 years apart. So by this time in 2018, I have a 1 year old, and I also have a 12-year old. So two different spectrums on education, right? And then I'm a bedside nurse at night, and I have a husband, and then I have a mom, and I have siblings. And though birth order, I'm the baby, that's not what the story really is in my family. I'm really more so the one that has the firstborn responsibilities, or they come to me as if I'm the firstborn. So I remember it was one time I was getting off of work, and I don't even live, not even that hospital was not even 10 minutes away. It's not even 10 minutes away from home. And I literally fell asleep at a stop sign and someone had to honk me. And what ended up happening then is because I realized the day before, instead of sleeping prior to that night shift, I took my mom to an appointment. I ran around with my niece. And then I had to do something for my husband at the time frame that I did not say no. So all of that, I'm helping everyone out around me, right? But essentially, I was hurting myself. So that really was the catalyst right there. That little honk, because I'm like, thank God it was at a stop sign and I was not under a light or something, or maybe my foot, maybe I probably would have swerved on the traffic or something. So that kind of was like a little like tap on my shoulder moment, like, okay, something needs to give here.
Do you feel like thinking about your journey in general, right? So you talked about a little that you are the youngest, but you hold the responsibility as if you were probably the oldest, which I think that happens in families at times. So when you think about your overall journey, is that a reflection of your life and how you were raised and going through adulthood?
Oh yeah. I do feel like it is a reflection because there were moments where I'm the baby, but that baby status probably stopped. I want to say high school, really, because that's when my grandmother came to live with us, and we all had what we called shifts with her because she had dementia. So, um, her having that illness, we all had shifts. And one of my shifts was when I come from school to make sure I help her with her hygiene and everything, made sure she ate and everything. And then I think from that right there, I started taking on that role because then I would be the one to be like really on top of everyone. Hey, make sure you didn't forget this, you didn't forget that. She has an appointment at this time. So it was that little thing right there, that little, that ended up making me start taking this role. And fortunately, I say fortunately and unfortunately, it ended up starting to be part of my identity and my personality as well too, because I am responsible. And then, but being responsible, I ended up starting to be responsible for people around me. So taking on a role that I shouldn't have. So it does play a major role in who I am today, but it also does play a major role in why I had to start taking this self care journey. It does play a major role.
So when you think about, so here you are, right? Your grandmother comes to move in with you all. You're the youngest, but you are also taking on that hat of checking in and making sure everybody, did what they needed to do during their shifts. So how did that contribute to who you are today? Because you said that started to be a part of your identity. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey of Nadia from that high school student, from that moment to where you are now?
So remember, so being in high school, we were in the broadcasting arts magnet program, and that originally was what I wanted to go into. I wanted to go into journalism, but actually, my grandmother coming to move in with us kind of shifted something in me. Caring for her helped formulate that passion in me, where I am a natural caregiver now. It's part of my professional life. So that's what kind of pushed me towards nursing as well too. It was her being in the household, but even then, one thing about nurses is that caregiver role, we take it on in almost every single relationship, which is not necessarily a great thing. So we take it on with our family, our friends, and our spouses. So that kind of did help formulate me and make me become who I am, because it did end up helping me walk into my purpose, passion wise. But however, it's a fine line when this is your purpose, but that's not the only thing that you are. You can't only just be purpose. Your purpose is part of passion. You're passionate about that, but that can't be who you are 24/7. And I think that kind of was an issue with me that I didn't understand, of course, until I went into I had ended up seeing a therapist during COVID, but that's when I had to figure out that yes, this could be my profession and that could be my purpose, but still, I am still someone outside of that profession. So I don't have to be that 24/7.
Mm. So I think that is deep because a lot of people don't know how to identify outside of their profession. And that's one of the things that I do in coaching to identify if someone is struggling with work life harmony. If you only can identify with your job, your career, that's a problem because you're so much more than that. So when you think about, you taking on this caregiver role, you talked about going to therapy, which we know that it's taboo in the Black community. And I don't know if you can share, but also in the Haitian community, if
Oh
there's a
yeah.
stigma where there's just perception of not
Oh,
attending
yes,
therapy.
ma'am. Listen, in the Haitian community, even just let's just say being African American and then adding on top of that little Caribbean spice in the background, it's big taboo. We were raised that you don't talk about your business at home. And then we were raised that, you're strong, you're this, you're that. No,
I went
to
on
go
this
speak to
platform
someone
and it
that
was a
shows a
platform, thank
weakness
God, that
and
it
there's supposed
allowed
to be
you
privacy
to
in the
choose
household.
the
You
type
don't
of
go talk
therapist
to
you want.
anyone about your
And I was very
business. So
specific.
that's how
I
it's
wanted her
just
to be African American.
African American
I
being
wanted
black, that's
her
the
to
culture
be a
itself. It's
woman
so
of a certain
taboo,
age,
to
and
the
I
point
wanted
where
her
it's
to
actually
know God.
detrimental to our
And
health.
so, and
So
not to say that
when
it was
just
biblical
seeing my
counseling,
therapist
those are two
back
different
in
things. They could be
2020,
intertwined, but they are
she first of
two
all
different things.
she's African
So,
American. I got to choose the type of therapist I wanted. And I know some people don't get lucky the first time around. I got lucky the first time around. And the great thing about that was she was able to listen, really dig deep with me. And then she was able to tell me, hey, you need to take accountability for this. It's not always everyone around you. Sometimes there are certain choices that we make. We think we're making it because of someone else, but that person didn't push us to make that choice. That's something we did by ourselves. So she had to make me take accountability. And that was even hard because think about it, you're my best girlfriend, you're one of my sisters, like we can you can tell me like, hey, you're wrong, this and that. And but she was really saying, no, I need you to sit with this for a moment and to understand this is the dynamic, this is what's going on, and you are actually part of the problem instead of the solution. Because sometimes we always think that I'm not wrong, I didn't do anything wrong. So sometimes therapy help you to see certain things that you don't see, and it helps you to think outside the box too. So that was my journey with therapy.
so let me ask you this. So, is the platform I think I know, but what platform are you referring to?
Oh Jesus. Oh look, I gotta go see my one moment.
I think I know, but I would like to confirm, as there may be someone who would like to have more control over how they select a therapist.
Moment. It was BetterHelp. BetterHelp.
Okay, BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.com.
All
BetterHelp.
right. So BetterHelp is a platform that I hear a lot of mental health advocates or therapists speak about. So
Mhm.
definitely is a platform. I know if you're looking just to identify someone too, and you're wanting to see if your insurance company will pay
Mhm.
for it, Psychology Today will also should it used to allow you to do some filtering too. So I'm glad you said that because a lot of people struggle with being able to before they meet that individual, they want to do some filtering, and there's nothing wrong with filtering. So I'm glad that you said that you did that. Do you
Oh yeah.
feel like going to therapy helped you, like, was that how did that become a pivotal moment in your life to say, "All right, you had the situation at the stoplight, but then you went to therapy." So how did that help you realize the need to prioritize yourself?
So the situation at the stoplight at the time frame, that was 2018. That was like mid 2018 at the time frame. And so now I'm slowly but surely being, pulling back just a teensy bit. Um, I might say I wasn't saying no at the time frame. I would say, let's schedule another time. And even then, I kind of was still pushing myself to a certain limit, but I know how to schedule it around work because that's what I was thinking. It was like, hey, I work nights, and so I need to schedule doing stuff for people around night. Now, fast forward to COVID. So Now, let's see, roughly around July. This is July 2020. So I'm waking up every morning. I'm either listening to Jerry Flowers, or I'm listening to what's it, Stephen Furtick. But I remember something that Jerry Flowers said. He said that he believes in biblical counseling, and he also believes in therapy as well too. And at that moment, so I'm increasing my walk with God, but I still knew that I need something. There's something still that's missing in the background because I'm still not balancing the way I should. My schedule is still, I'm feeling like a chicken with its head cut off. So if I'm doing the soul spiritual, right, with my walk with God, so now it's time that I need to take care of the mind. So that's when I ended up starting therapy 2020. And this was before I even actually went out to go work those hard COVID units. And I was glad when I tell you, I was so glad, like perfect timing that I was already doing therapy while I was out there. Because I don't know how I would have been able to complete those assignments without seeing a therapist.
Okay. So when COVID hits, right? It's a crazy time. It's an even crazier time for you all that were in the medical field and you're already in therapy. Did the experience you had working in the units, I know you traveled as well across the country, how did that experience change the way
Mm.
you practice self-care or you prioritize yourself?
COVID, when I tell you COVID, it just made me realize that life was so fragile. And when I say fragile, there was specifically one patient I could still remember till today. And he didn't die of COVID. It was because of what was going on was so bad with all the hospitals being full to capacity. This man died because he had what's called a bleed. He had a GI bleed in his intestines, something that would literally take probably no more than 10 minutes. You go in the OR, you clip it, fine. This man died because at the time frame, the neighboring hospitals were full to capacity. They could not take him. And
Mhm.
what really bothered me about him was I had him that entire day. And as I'm coming onto the unit, everyone is kind of looking at me like, did someone tell her? Did someone tell her? And I'm like, tell me what? Tell me what? And she's like that rapid response. When we say rapid response, change in level, meaning someone is like, very changing quickly. They're like that rapid response is patient X, Y, and Z. And I ran to the room when they started, when they were coding him, and I just could not believe it. So he did take his last breath in front of me, but it was not he didn't have COVID, but he was impacted by COVID. And his death, believe it or not, though I've seen many deaths because I'm a former hospice nurse prior to COVID, his death just made me kind of realize, like, oh my God, life is so fragile. So, like, in one moment, we could be here and the next we can't be. So it kind of was like a little pivotal moment because I saw my therapist then as well too. I saw her the next day. She gave me an emergency visit and I saw her the next day. And when I did see her, I saw her while I was at work in the documentation room. So I saw her and I was talking to her and she was like, okay. And she kind of walked me through it to calm me down because though I was there at work, I really was not there. So that was like the pivotal moment. It just made me feel like, okay, life is fragile. I don't know why it was this patient specifically, but it just like kind of, okay, life is fragile. So how do you want to live life? Someone might be like, oh, that's so cliche. But to me, it was like, okay, this man just passed away. So what do I want to do with my life? So that was my pivotal moment.
I know that you got your skin and you've been through this. Look, you've been in the field for many years. So as you stated, you have the experience of dealing with patients that pass away. So I can't even imagine. But for you to have that moment where it reminded you, right, how you have to live life and it is fragile, like that had to be huge for you. So as you think about during that time, right? So COVID is what, 2020, 2021, and it's
Mhm.
now 2025. What have you done differently to prioritize yourself and make time for Nadia?
Okay. So prioritizing me. Prioritizing me could even mean sleeping in. Prioritizing me could mean I go to the front room. I let my husband and the kids know, like, hey, please don't come knock unless it's an emergency. Um, Prioritizing for me can be a glass of wine with a book. I don't even really talk about social media like that because sometimes prioritizing for me means to stay off of social media because I've learned that sometimes social media can cause certain agitations and anxieties. And sometimes you're trying to figure out where is this anxiousness coming from, and it's really because we're scrolling so much, right? So that's what prioritization looked like to me. It could even mean just me doing skincare, me taking that extra time just to do skincare. I've asked a couple of my other girlfriends, hey, have you ever timed yourself washing your face? And they're like, no, what do you mean? We're supposed to wash our face for a full minute, but we're usually so much in a rush that we don't realize that we're not washing our face for the 60 seconds. And so prioritization to me, yeah, so prioritization, just standing in the mirror and using a facial cleanser for a full minute, and you'll be surprised how long a minute truly is when you weren't practicing doing a minute, right? So to me, even that is prioritization, taking care of my physical body. And also I make sure that I go to a Bible study every Friday nights. We have midnight prayer on Tuesday night. So that's part of my prioritization as well too, is making sure I'm taking care of that spiritual aspect of my life.
That's good. Especially with you, I was over here laughing about the face. I know I'm not doing 60 seconds. You may be getting 30, but definitely not 60. So something like that, and that becoming a part of your routine, in addition to midnight prayer and Bible study and being intentional about feeding your spirit and soul. So you mentioned social media, and this is something that has come up a few times during this series, which I'm not surprised because it is such a major part of society life. Children are on social media now. When you think about your journey and where you were, I'll say when you graduated. So you graduated from high school and you're looking at what you want to do with your life and you knew, and then you think about where you are now and how things have evolved so much. And we get to see people and their journeys on social media, and society in so many words compares us and makes us feel like at times, and I'll say makes us for some, make you feel like your journey should be something else. So for you, how have you stayed true to who you wanted to be and not fall into the trap of the pressures of society when we look at social media and that spirit of comparison, or they're here and I'm here, how do comparing journeys?
So, as you know, so even when I was doing the RN program, I basically turned off my social media. I got off of social media. Whenever I'm doing something, no one will know about it. I got off of social media because I needed to make sure that I can focus. I know my weakness. So my TikTok app, which I just learned from my oldest, he was like, "You don't have TikTok anymore." I said, "No, what happened?" He's like, "Do you know how much these phones are going for if you have the TikTok app?" Reason being why I had to take that app off. One morning I went and I dropped off Nicholas to school, and that was roughly around 7:30. So I got home roughly around 8 o'clock. I was on TikTok. I did not get off till my alarm rang at 2 o'clock to go pick him up. And in that moment, I said, no, this is a distraction because at the time frame, I could recognize my weakness. I know I was not disciplined for that app. So I took it off. So that's even part of my doctoral, my becoming a nurse practitioner and a doctoral program. No TikTok, and we would do social media fast. So you know that because you and I and another good girlfriend of ours were in a group, and sometimes I would just not be on there commenting because I'm off of it. So, and then even with that, where it becomes extremely detrimental, even to the youth, is that if you truly don't know who you are, you're going to think where you are at on your journey is not where you're supposed to be. Each of our journeys are individualized. It is customized to you. But when you start looking on social media, unfortunately, you start to compare. oh, this person is my age and I'm not doing this yet, or this person has two master's degree, a 6,000 square foot home, and you start to compare. And then when you start doing this comparison, what happened is that you stop forgetting how to celebrate your milestones because your milestones are still your milestones. You start to, oh, what I'm doing is nothing. What? So now you're in this lane of now you're looking and then here's the thing. Sometimes, yes, this is someone's life, which we should be okay with it, but sometimes it's actually not their life. So sometimes you're comparing yourself to what? A ghost? Or what society is telling you it's supposed to be like. So for me personally, what I did, I had to stay off of social media. I truly had to stay off of social media. And though I have my Facebook account, at one point, shoot, I forgot how to log on to my Facebook account. So I had to reset everything to figure it out. So I truly was not on those social media sites unless it's something I needed to research or something I probably needed to go look at something right quick, and then I would come right off because it doesn't sometimes it does not serve you well. Now, don't get me wrong, in certain instances, like what you're doing as well for Black and Brown community, for women, what you're doing, it's a great thing. If someone is going out there saying, hey, I need to see someone who looks like me, or I need to understand how to give self-care, and then they come on your page, then they could be like, okay, so this is what she's doing. Okay, let me see if I can reach out to her, or you understand that that's healthy. But unfortunately, that might happen. Maybe I'm throwing some weird statistics out there. That might happen probably less than probably 40% of the time because we'll start to compare ourselves. We like to see glitz and glam, but sometimes we forget that all that glitter is not gold.
That part, we only see people's highlight reel, so you only
Hmm.
see what people allow you to see.
There you go.
But I love that you mentioned when we get caught up, sometimes we can miss the milestones of our journey because all of our journeys are different. Even if you're in the same industry as someone else,
Yep.
right? I'm sure,
Hmm.
any of your peers, even if you all start at the same time, the journey looks different. So, how do you celebrate yourself, right? So, you've had a lot of recent major milestones, but just in general, because I believe in celebrating small and big wins, how do you celebrate yourself or do you celebrate yourself?
You know what? The big win. Listen, we went to our Thailand trip was beautiful. And I've taken myself out to dinner where I do a one-on-one dinner just with me, just by myself, so I can really sit in what is going on, what I'm celebrating. This doctoral degree, I haven't celebrated it for myself yet personally, but I'm thinking about most likely I might end up taking a trip up to there's a Black owned vineyard in California, and that's where I truly want to take a solo trip to go celebrate that there. So that's still to be determined. But however, um celebrations, it could just mean, like I said, sitting at dinner by myself. It could mean me being in my backyard, crossing my legs with a glass of wine, or me simply journaling. Because sometimes you want to just write it out. Because I feel like when you're writing out, this is what I'm happy about at the moment, it kind of helps you when you're trying to go to the next step, or if you're still on a journey, because we know that feeling, it doesn't last forever. So when you actually write it down, if you have a journal, you're writing it down, when you do come across these little speed bumps where you feel frustrated or you're feeling down, you actually can go back to this journal and to read what you wrote when you were in that moment. And it kind of gives you like these little endorphins, like, okay, I did it then. And this is how I was feeling. And I can't wait to have that feeling again. Even though it might not be the same exact feeling, it'll be close. So sometimes those are how I celebrate excuse me, and I'm being intentional when I'm in a moment. So when we went to Thailand, I had someone text me in a group chat, hey, I know you're in Thailand. Why aren't you posting pictures?
Mm.
And I told her, well, Thailand is for me. It's not for y'all. And she's like, ooh. And I was not to be rude, but I was honest with her. I was very serious. But they only got one picture, one. And that was when we were doing the island hopping. They only got one picture, and that was that. Because I was in that moment. You can notice I was one of the ones that I barely took any pictures. I was truly in the moment, even, gasping for air when we were on that climb, going up those stairs, gasping for air. But still, when we actually took the picture where you see like the blue lagoon, when we took that picture, I was in awe. I was literally in the moment. So I was very intentional. So when I'm celebrating, though it's good to help other people see your journey, but for me, that's for me in that moment. So I have to make sure that I'm doing what makes me happy. So in celebration, I'm intentional.
Um, I love that you mentioned like the small things. I say small things because to some people, just having a glass of wine in the backyard is very simple and it's small. But that to me, that's a huge celebration because it's the feeling of what you get in the moment. And also the fact that you're married, you have two children, and you're not only doing solo outings, but you want to do a solo trip, which I think is important for any of the women that are listening that may be a mother or who is married who feel like they don't know how to step away and prioritize themselves. So that's huge to hear that from you. You talked about the Thailand trip and the doctoral program. And because I know you so well, I have a little background insight to be able to ask this question. So during your doctoral program, which I'll let you explain it, what that journey looked like, the master's and your doctorate. But during that time, you were intentional about traveling and doing things and not missing different experiences and moments in life. So, can you talk about that with us? Because it's funny that when you started it here and you finished basically, you finished in almost Thailand or, so it's beautiful that I got to see that. But for people who did not and feel like life ends or stops during that program, can you just share your experience?
So I did a dual program. It's almost like a double major. So it was a BS into DNP. So basically, bachelor's of science in nursing all the way to the doctoral nursing practice. So you get your master's along the way. And the way I was so intentional is that if you were doing like, okay, I know your birthday was in May when where this is going to be planned. I know I have classes that I can take. There are certain classes that were online classes. And so I'm like, okay, I would schedule certain things around that. And I think there was one day, 1 or 2 days that I missed of one class, and that was okay because I read the syllabus to see how many days can I miss without, having to get kicked out of this program. So life still goes on around you, and it's going to be what you make it while you're doing anything that is worthwhile. In this program, one of my babies, my little one, he ended up getting diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Prior to the type 1 diabetes, he ended up getting diagnosed with a bleeding disorder. I decided that, hey, life is going to go on around me and I'm still going to continue on with school. So school was that, okay, that was the main thing that needed to be done. And I worked around it, or I made it work around my life. But I was not going to stop what I was doing just because I'm in the program. Now there does come a time where I'm doing clinicals where I know, hey, I can't do anything. It's just going to clinicals and coming back home, going to clinicals, going to lecture, doing research, implementing my project. I knew when that time frame was coming, so I buckled down for that. But however, for a fact, this laptop has been with us to Jamaica. It's been with me to Dallas. It's been with me to Texas, to Georgia. It's been with me to Thailand. So wherever I went, it's been with me to California when I took a Nikki for his 18th birthday. So wherever I went, I took it with me. Now, if someone is doing something that is not an online program, you still can go into the schedule and to see how it's structured, right? And wherever there's a pocket for some time off, be intentional about how you schedule your vacations. Of course, making sure that the finances are in order to do so, right? But it does not stop. No, you can't just put your life on hold because this is what's going on right at that moment. You get what I'm saying? So, and every time I went somewhere, it kind of was like refreshing for me. It was like a woosah moment. Okay, okay. Oh, perfect. Now I can go back to my organized chaos because that's what I called it. I called it organized chaos.
Did you ever feel guilty? Like just thinking about that, right? So you had this organized chaos, you had clinicals, you're working at a doctor's office, the youngest, right, has been diagnosed. This is a lot. And did you ever feel guilty about those trips or moments where you chose to step away and prioritize yourself?
Absolutely not. I will tell you this. The ironic thing is prior to having therapy, I did used to feel guilty. That's when I was going to go get my bachelor's, right? I was feeling guilty for stepping away during the daytime from my baby. This is all prior to therapy. Now, after therapy, no, absolutely not. I did not feel guilty, not one bit. As a matter of fact, I was excited when I was away. Um, I didn't I didn't want to speak to my husband or the kids. I really didn't. He would be calling me, so I would answer. He'd want to. I didn't want to speak to. I didn't want to speak to them because I'm going to go back to them when I get home. So I did not want to speak to them. So I was not guilty. No, because at the end of the day, I think here's the big issue, and you did kind of stress that out. Women, especially the mothers or the wives, they end up making that their identity. And sometimes they don't know who they are outside of their children. I remember my sister-in-law, we were having a conversation and I just asked her, "Who are you?" And she started, "Mother, I love the girls, blah, 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 blah." I said, "Say something without your children." And she took a long time to try to figure out what adjective she could use to describe herself without intertwining it with her being a mom. So even with self-care, it's not, I know I've seen a quote where someone say, it's okay to be selfish with self-care. No, I think it's selfless with self-care. I feel like when you prioritize you, you are showing people how to essentially treat you. And that's what I had to do on my journey. My mom learned how to treat me. My husband had to learn how to treat me. My siblings, my siblings, they had to learn how to treat me. They know what I will and won't take. My children, especially my oldest, he'll tell you, "Oh yeah, my mom won't go for that." He'll tell someone real quick, "She won't go for that," because I had to show them this is how I'm treating myself. So if I'm treating myself like this, I'm not taking anything less than how I treat myself. So that's part of self-care as well too. Even with being in the professional setting, we are not what we do for a living. We are not. I'm that in that setting. Outside of that setting, I'm back to Nadia.
I think it's so important to be able to understand that there's a Dr. Nadia hat and then there's
Hmm.
just a Nadia hat.
Yep.
And, at times people struggle with that. And some people like want that to be a part of their identity for whatever reasons. But, being able to separate that relieves a lot of pressure that you potentially can have on yourself to always have that hat on. So, have you started to like encourage people to call you Dr. Nadia yet?
My mentor, I was in the clinic where she works at now, and she kept on introducing Dr. Nadia, Dr. Nadia. She was introducing it. And at one point, certain people were like, "No, this is Dr. Marcellus." So she just, and I was like, and she had to push me aside. She said, "You worked for it." And she was like, "This is how they're going to address you." She was like, "Now, when you and I, we're not in a professional setting," because she doesn't like for me to call her Dr. Kendall when we're not in a professional setting. But when we're in a professional setting, she's like, "No, that," she's like, "You work for it, so that's what they're going to call you." So I'm getting there. Even my other preceptor, she just opened up. Look, I keep on saying preceptor. My previous preceptor, she just opened up her own clinic, and when she introduced me, she's like, "Oh, this is Dr. Nadia Marcellus." And I was like, "Oh, I'm like, Nadia." She's like, "No." She's like, "No, you're Dr. Marcellus." So I'm getting around to it. I'm getting around to it. Next week, I actually start an unpaid internship. So they'll be calling me that there more often, but I'm getting around to it. I don't push anyone, but my little one, Noah, I went to go pick him up from school before. He's like, "Mom, you're a doctor now, right?" And I said, "Yes, Noah." So he was basically letting the people around him know, like, "Yeah, my mom is a doctor."
See, that's what I'm talking about, Noah. You gotta let the people know. I think there's a way to approach it. I've had people
Yeah.
correct me, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know. If I didn't know,
Mhm.
right? Like, oh, I did not know. And I'm all for whatever you prefer, the preference for the name. So I definitely think that, you have to, I know it's still fresh, but you got to walk into it. You work for it. So I think that's super important. Now, Nadia, thinking about that, right? So you've had two different people recently say, like, no, this is Dr. Nadia Marcellus. This is Dr. Marcellus. And you've worked very hard to be called Dr. Nadia Marcellus. How are you with receiving compliments? Like, are you open to it? Do you minimize it?
I've learned that I minimize it. I don't even know. It could be something very simple, and I've learned that I minimize the um the compliments in any way, shape, or form. It could be something that I'm wearing, somebody say is nice, or your makeup is nice, or oh my God, I love your hair, it's nice. And I always minimize it like with a probably I'll compliment the other person too, because that's just who I am naturally, but I do minimize it and I don't know why. Still working on that. See,
Okay. I was
it's a
gonna ask
journey.
why.
It's a journey.
It is a journey. But when you think about all the things that you have done and accomplished, I think it's important for the listeners to hear that the journey is a journey. I feel like there's no destination. We don't arrive and then nothing else, you have to work on. You are continue to have to work on yourself. So I appreciate you being transparent about that. So you are now Dr. Nadia Marcellus. You have gone through this program, which I believe was 3 years, 3 or 4 years. And, when you think about little Nadia and that little girl, whether you were elementary school, middle school, high school, when you think, or to be honest, like as adults, but when you think about success and happiness, do you feel like it has evolved over time, whether that's during your program or at some point in your life? But do you feel like it's evolved? And if so, why did it evolve?
I think it has evolved because sometimes we have to look at age and maturity levels. And I feel like when I was younger, let's just say the little girl Nadia, I equated happiness to probably items. My mom was very big on making sure we had what was in at the moment or the hairstyles. So younger me, I kind of equated that to items. And then the older that I got, success to me, for me, it's actually tied to happiness and peace. So it has evolved over time. So right now, as we know, and let me just throw this out there, success is something that is personal to each person. It's different. It looks different on everybody. But for me personally, my success, knowing that one, I completed this program, made me feel like, oh, successful. I'm still in the same industry 16 years now. This year made it 16 years. This January made it 16 years. I've been core as far as a nurse. So to become a nurse practitioner and then to get the doctoral degree, which is either a doctoral degree or a PhD in nursing, those are terminal degrees, right? So that's part of my happiness as well too. Got me to a place of happiness. But however, I can sit down just with myself and just think to myself like, girl, you conquered that. So it makes me feel like, okay, this is success, even though I haven't gone out to accomplish what I need to in my professional life yet because it's still fresh with this degree. But I can still sit here and say, oh, you're successful. So that makes my happiness looks very different now. Happiness is like my oldest he's in college. That brings me joy. Um, the youngest is very aware of his illness and he knows how to tell me, hey, this is how much I need. He knows how to count carbs because he's a type 1 diabetic. That makes me happy. Um, Also, something else that I think sometimes we don't talk about is there's a certain happiness. I get like you know how they say secondhand embarrassment? I get a secondhand happiness. When I see one of my girlfriends, when y'all achieve something, it brings me to certain happiness. You get what I'm saying? And it just makes me like, oh, Woo, yay. I know everybody can't see, but I'm kind of like doing a little shimmy with my shoulder because that draws happiness to me too. And I don't think when I was like, let's just say when I was in high school, I don't think that would have been my definition of even success to say, hey, my friend did this, and that makes me feel like I'm successful. So with time, with maturity, I think there's different levels of how we look at it. But yeah, I tie my success to my happiness and my peace.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, I can relate. I can relate on that, on the happiness and the peace just being tied to so many things. You mentioned the secondhand happiness, which I've never heard of that, but I would love to hear your thoughts on. You talked about being happy for others around you. So that means that you have some type of community and some type of support. And I've met a lot of people who unfortunately have not had that experience. So I am assuming you're cheering your friends on and vice versa. That's being reciprocated, but a lot of people have never experienced that. So when you think about your journey, how has having a support system or friendships helped you along the way and kept you motivated and inspired?
Oh, wow. Community is very big. It's very, very big who you choose to be part of your community, right? Because I know for a fact, I could call you, I can call someone else. You guys will let me express myself without me feeling judged, right? There were times where I was just tired in this program. There were times where I cried. There were times where I was very frustrated, even with the project. You knew firsthand with the project when I would call you like, oh my God, they're being nitpicky about this. But my community, what they allowed me to express myself, one, and gave me words of encouragement, two, and they didn't minimize my feelings, which sometimes I think people don't understand when they minimize someone's feeling. Even me, I used to do that because I didn't really like think sometimes we start to get into our own heads like, oh, she need to hurry up and get over it. But then what we're doing in that moment to that other person is that we're minimizing their feelings. And so my community does not do that for me. I have people who pray for me. I know your mom was one of my prayer warriors, the people at my mama's church, Elvita, even Bernice. So, and to me, that's important too, because I take my walk with Christ very seriously. So I feel like for my community, I need to know that there are certain times when I am down that my friend can actually pray for me. They can go before God for me and somewhat intercede for me. So that's very important. So my community did listen. This journey was not easy, and I feel like if I didn't have you guys, I don't think I would have been. I don't think I would have completed this whole degree. So it truly, and not even just this one per se, because I remember back what I wasn't even an LPN then yet. And it was your mom. And I remember she was like, nope. She's like, you're gonna go for it. You're gonna get it done. Don't worry about it. And then I seen someone else's mom like following that time frame. And what she said, she was like, Miss Francine said you're doing this and you're doing that. And I was like, yes, I am. Yes, I am. So your mom was there. She was cheering me on in the background. So that's still part of my community. And that alone, listen, look at how long. I mean, I didn't even know at that point that I would be here where I'm at right now. And she believed in me then. So that was still part of my journey and my community. So my community has been great help, even from being able to drop off my little one at time when I needed to study, or sometimes just really telling my husband I have to go. And he never will question anything. Oh, bless his heart. He would never question anything. I'm like, I have to go. He never say how long. And sometimes depending on what it was, it could have been like I'm out of the house for 10 hours. I might be out of the house for 12 hours. So my community was very supportive, very, very supportive. And that plays a big role. And so the advice I would give to some of your listeners is find your community. Even if you're a new mom, reach out to a mom group, go into a church, look at the, for, you don't just want anybody now, but, look at the people in that community, in that church and see like, hey, who can I, who can come help me? And well, it's a two-way street now. So you have to find your community in whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And I love that you spoke on, having friends that pray for you. when you need it, friends that understand that this is a moment that need to allow you to vent and be there and not kick you down further if you're already at a place where, you're like frustrated, ready to give up. Because we all get that, right? Doesn't mean we are, but you're putting it out there like, I'm through with this, I'm over it. But then also, I would like to also add, one thing that I think is important for people to hear, because we have known each other for so long, is also being intentional about capacity.
Mhm.
That's something over the last, I guess, few years we've been very intentional about, is asking, does the person have capacity? Because I knew that she was going through a lot. Her program was very intense. I can't imagine, don't have any idea. What I do know is I wouldn't be able to do it. So it's
Yes, you
important
would.
for me to say, like, hey, do you have capacity before I just dump everything that's going on in my day? And you have done the same. So, how has that situation affected you when it comes to prioritizing yourself? Because I see that you are making yourself a priority. So I want to respect that. Has that had an impact? Do you feel like even on strengthening friendships or relationships? Because I'm sure you do the same with other people as well.
Yeah, actually, it has on a positive note because once more, it shows someone this is how you're going to treat me. So even if I'm talking to someone else, I would ask them, what is your capacity right now? Before I would even give bad news or if I wanted advice or if I'm going to, I needed to vent because I feel like it's a way we respect someone. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know what you're going through or what just happened for the first 6 hours of your day. So instead of just dumping, let me be mindful, right? So once I'm mindful, like, hey, what's your capacity at? Now it's one thing to ask, right? And then it's another to actually respect when someone say, not right now. And then even in that, when I would tell someone not right now, that's me telling you I can't handle anything right now. And the person or the people around you who truly respect you, they will hold back. They'll make sure they hold back because they understand that your plate is full right now. And when we're saying we don't have the capacity, sometimes it might be I'm not in the right frame of mind, or maybe something else is going on that what you might need me for, I cannot be fully present for you. You get what I'm saying? So to me, it's been very positive. Not everyone was receptive at first. And that's how it is, even with boundaries. Everyone is not receptive at first. And you would tell them, or, they're calling you, no, I don't have the capacity. And they would go on and, okay, hey, I'm about to hang up. Okay. I'm not trying to be rude, but I got to hang up. I've done that to a few people. Um, right. They eventually caught on though. So I probably done that to three people and they eventually caught on. And those three people were family. Cause our family, family does you the worst. You get what I'm saying? So, but they ended up catching on. So now someone, hey, can you talk right quick? I have something I want to talk about. Are you okay? There's something I would like to tell you, and then so it's either a yes or a no. Okay, you know what? Maybe I'll call you tomorrow or you can text me when you're available.
And eventually they'll understand it. Just
Mhm.
takes time. Well, Nadia, of course, always enjoy talking to you, but I am just so happy that you could share just your journey of prioritizing yourself, choosing you, but then also allowing us to hear it from someone in the medical field, because I think most of us will just assume you all have no time, right? You're always on the go, but you're being intentional about prioritizing yourself and, most importantly, still living life. So if you could have a conversation, and this is my number one favorite question. But if you could have a conversation with younger Nadia, what would you tell her?
Don't look at failure as it being a misstep. Just understand that you take the lesson that you need from it, learn, move forward, and grow. Your network is your net worth, right? Rest. Rest, rest. And it is not to you up to you to take the weight of the world. You cannot carry the weight of the world on your shoulders and be good to you. In order to love you, saying no is okay. And no is a full sentence. Don't forget to enjoy life. Enjoy life, enjoy life, enjoy life, and surround yourself with positive people.
Yes. All right. Well, I love that. I feel like that can also a love relationship with our younger self is so important. So I hope somebody else can take from that because even as adults, everything you said can apply to us today. But I just appreciate you for being a guest on my podcast. And the timing of it could not have been better because you are in a new season in your life. So, is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners before we wrap up?
Be intentional. Be intentional with you. I feel like when you start truly caring for yourself, the self-care is a form of love as well too. And self-care looks different on everyone. Just because someone else's self-care might require something else, but that's what brings them happiness and that's what helped them out. Figure out what it is that your self care looks like. Be intentional about it and make sure you make it part of your routine. When you make it part of your routine, it is second nature. You won't have to guess about what do I like, what I don't like. And another thing with self care as well too, what you need to understand is when your body is not in this constant fight or flight mode, you're essentially being good to you. When you are not choosing self care and you're running yourself ragged, what happens is that you're changing your body at a cellular level that leads to certain cancers and mutations within your body, right? So once you can start loving up on you the way you should love on yourself and you start prioritizing yourself, that's going to include your health as well too. And then when you do that, now you can deal with the outside world the way you choose to deal with the outside world. So that's my last piece of advice. Make sure you love yourself.
Yeah. Self love is so important and definitely knowing how to love yourself so someone else can know how to love you too. So
Amen.
Nadia, I thank you. I just thank you so much for your time. I'm going to say as your best friend, I am just super proud of you. It is amazing to see all the things that you have done and that you are being an inspiration to so many people. I know people are reaching out to you as being a mentor. I know folks look up to you. I'm sure people who we went to middle school with, high school with, that look up to just your journey. And we kind of heard that from the class reunion, how people like are looking up to what you've done. So I hope that you are sitting in that and you are embracing the fact that although you may not be intending to be that person, you may be that person for a lot of people. And I know I've joked about this and said that you're going to open up a hospital, which I still think you are. But I say that as a way of saying that there is so much more out there for you, and we are praying for big things as you step into this new season of your life. I don't know exactly what's next. I know that you're looking at some things, but I am proud of you. As you said, my family's proud of you, and I hope that other women listening can understand that here we are 20 plus years later and we have a sisterhood where our families are basically family, and I can root you on and cheer you on without being envious or jealous of your success, because when you succeed, I succeed, and you said that in so
Amen.
many words earlier.
Yep. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you for having me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, everyone, until next time, I just thank you for tuning in. I hope that you were inspired to choose yourself, prioritize yourself. And if you are a mother or a wife, remember, you are still you. You are a woman. before you were a mother and wife, and it's okay to step away and take care of yourself. Until next time, I hope that you all have a great day. Bye.